Well, after a weekend of generally low scoring championship games, we return in midweek to complete Matchweek 35. The second part of it has four remaining fixtures due to FA Cup action from the weekend. Are we going to favour the sides that have had a rest, or are we going to favour the sides that have been in action over the last 3 days? You'll find out in a minute as we preview and predict all four matches. Of course, as always, I'll encourage you to do the same down in the comments. And if you beat or match my overall score, you'll get a shout out when we return on Wednesday to look ahead to a full weekend programme in the Championship. For now though, before we go and move on to the four midweek fixtures, let's have a look back at the first half of Matchweek 35. 8 games in total, and it started blisteringly for me. Perfect score on Friday night for Sunderland's 2-1 win. Perfect score in the first lunchtime kickoff as Blackburn equalised late against Norwich. But after that, unfortunately, it went a little bit wrong. Portsmouth should have scored a sitter, albeit I'm glad they didn't. So no points there, but 1 point for the wins for Borough and Sheffield United. Give me 8 overall for Matchweek 35, which to be fair, is again a pretty solid effort. It leaves me in joint third place in the table. That is level with Gordon, one of our regulars, who's up on 8 points as well. One above us on 9, we've got Peter and Brian, 2 regulars who have both had a good weekend. And then top of the tree and back in form is Ojo, who had a great weekend a few weeks back and is now top of the table. The only man in double figures with 10 points this weekend. So that's Matchweek 35 out the way, but we've got to move on to the rest of it. There are 4 remaining fixtures, all on Tuesday night. And we start with a battle of 2 sides who have both been defeated in FA Cup action this weekend. It is Cardiff City versus Burnley. Cardiff beaten Aston Villa in what was a fairly one-sided game, it must be said. However, they did give a decent account of themselves and put up half a fight. A 2-0 defeat for them. Burnley rotated against Preston, were beaten 3-0. It was a real off day, it's got to be said. But defensively in the league, they've still not conceded for months. They've still not conceded in 2025. And if they can win this one, they can put the pressure back on. It's important with Leeds dropping points and with Sheffield United winning that they keep up pace at the top of the table. And of course, they're still looking at Sunderland, who with that win moved to within 3 of them. But if Burnley harbour ambitions of automatic promotion, they've got to go and win away at the side in 20th place. It's something that they've struggled to do at times this season, which is break down gritty, deep defensive teams. And we know Cardiff will set up that way. Pretty similarly to they did at home to Hull City, where they got a crucial 3 points in their last league game. We did see a more attacking side of Burnley at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Marcus Edwards looking brilliant in particular. But this is a side that is inconsistent in front of goal, to say the least. And we know if Burnley had a great attacking record, they'd probably be comfortable in the top 2. I do think they'll have too much for Cardiff here, who themselves are now looking over their shoulder after Luton won at the weekend. And of course, with Hull against Plymouth, the next game we're going to be covering, we know someone's going to be catching ground on them as well. So important Cardiff put in a good display. Probably got to be wary of the goal difference as well. They've conceded 55 this year. They need to stem the tide. But against Burnley, I don't think they're going to be strong enough. And I'm going to go for the visitors to win with their first team back in order by 2-0 in South Wales. The second game, as we mentioned just a moment ago, is huge at the bottom. 21st v 23rd, it is Hull City versus Plymouth. Hull were defeated 1-0 at Cardiff in that league game last time out, but have had a rest since, whereas Plymouth put in a spirited display at Manchester City, and if it weren't for set pieces, they might have had a chance of getting to extra time or getting through. But again, we are starting to see the fruits of the labour put in from Miran Muslic. To be fair to him, it was a slow start, and it maybe shows the lack of coaching going on beforehand, but we're starting to see what I expected when he took charge of the club. I still think it's going to be a tough ask for Plymouth to survive, but he's done as much as he can with that side defensively now. And it's just about avoiding those sloppy goals. As it has to be said, they conceded from set pieces recently. They have missed opportunities to beat some of the sides in around them in the last couple of weeks. Of course, drawing against both Luton and Cardiff has not done enough to lift them out. If they'd won those games, could have been a very different story. For Hull, though, it becomes a pivotal game. A lot of their recent ones have been against the top sides, albeit that seems to be where most of their wins have come. But at home against sides with poorer away records, they've generally struggled. At home to Stoke, they were beaten 2-1. They drew at home to Norwich, who are normally pretty poor on the road. And that defeat at Cardiff last time out has not done them any favours at all in a relegation battle. I am going to go for the reverse of what I went for them last time, though. I just feel Plymouth are going to be a little more fatigued after the weekend. They put in a special effort, but it was a hard ask. I'm going to go for Hull to pick up a crucial win. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go for the hosts by 1-0. Let's move on to a game that focuses more on the playoff race at the other end of the table. It is Millwall versus Bristol City. Millwall kind of ruined their weekend, didn't they, against Crystal Palace? A tough time with Liam Roberts sent off early. We'll go back to supposedly the best official in England needing VAR to see that, but there we go. You've got to say, after going down to 10, Millwall put in a half-decent effort. They were fairly solid. They got themselves back into it on a stroke of half-time, but in truth, it was always going to be a very difficult ask from there. But they are doing better in the league. You take that one big blot on the record away at Plymouth. They've otherwise been very solid recently. Back to sort of a hybrid of what we've seen under Neil Harris, the solid defensive displays, the set-piece work, but also a little bit more impetus to try and control the game. And I think given time, Alex Neil will build a very good side here. They're just 7 points off the playoffs, but Bristol City are even closer. 3 away with this game in hand after their win against Borough last week. Earthy was the hero there. They're going to find another one this weekend. They just seem to be a lot more gritty this season. They're hard to predict because they will throw in the odd clanger like the Swansea game, but you've got to have a lot more faith in them. They've generally been consistent. Defensively, they've been so much better than in recent seasons, and they've stopped conceding quite so many late goals. So I don't know if they're going to win this game because going to Millwall's a very tough ask. But given that both of them have drawn a couple of their last 5 games 1 goal apiece, and I can't really find a way to separate them, either from stats in a table or from their recent form, I'm going to sit on the fence with the Championship's favourite scoreline. Got to have one in the midweek. I'm going for this one, 1 goal apiece. And we finish as we started with a side from South Wales, but this time they're on the road. It is Preston North End at home to Swansea City. Swansea got that crucial win against Blackburn in Alan Sheehan's first interim game again. He's done such a good job every time. I don't know why he doesn't get the job. Hopefully for his sake he will. They move up to 40 points. They're really desperate for a couple more just to make sure they're comfortably safe. But to be fair, he did a really good job. It was a much better performance. And on another day, I kid you not, that could have been 5 or 6. They created some great chances. For Preston, a couple of frustrating weeks in the league. The draw at home to Millwall, the defeat against Coventry. However, a very good performance in the Cup against Burnley into the quarterfinals. And a really decent display going forward. I've said it all year, Paul Heckingbottom's made them a decent side. And they're starting to change their style. They're becoming a little bit more aggressive, but without that real firepower consistently. And I think given time, he will get it right here. I know Swansea picked up that big win, but it was a home game. And I know they nicked the smash and grab at Bristol City, but they were terrible at Stoke, terrible at Norwich. They concede goals galore on the road at times. And while Preston aren't the most free-flowing and frequent scorers, I think they might do enough to win this one. Of course, despite the relative indifferent form for Swansea recently, they can go above Preston with a win here. But I'm going to go for the host to get the victory. And at Deepdale, the Preston fans will be happy because I'm going for a 2-1 win for the Lily Whites. So with that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of what we've gone for the second part of Matchweek 35. 4 games in total. I had to throw in a Championship's favourite scoreline. I cannot separate the playoff contenders Millwall and Bristol City. At the bottom, I think it's going to be a big day for Hull City, who with a victory will go above Cardiff, who I've predicted to lose at Burnley. And then Preston North End to plunge Swansea City back onto the outskirts of trouble with a 2-1 victory at home against them. Those are just my predictions for the 4 midweek games though. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments below and give me your predictions for these 4 matches. If you do beat or match my overall midweek score, you will get a shout out on Wednesday when we return to look ahead to Matchweek 36, a full weekend spanning across 3 days with a game live on free-to-air TV as well. I hope you're looking forward to that. If you want to stay up to date and make sure you don't miss it, please do subscribe and turn the notification bell on. Chuck a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. And of course, we may well have a Swansea City manager special soon too. Thank you very much for watching though. Good luck to all of the sides in midweek action. We'll be back on Wednesday evening to look ahead to a full weekend fixture list.